There are certain cultural factors inherent in the Ethiopian culture which are counterproductive, let's say, to intelligence data mining and researching. Or otherwise people are lazy, they are not curious, they lack, even though they have a fertile fantasy when it comes to perceiving real or imagined threat potentials, they still lack the necessary research fantasy to properly evaluate such data. That is a problem of all security services. The CIA produced many gaffes over the last decades due to this human factor, not because of lack of equipment or lack of data, but the human factor in handling the data. The same is the case in Ethiopia. The Ethiopian national security is not an organ of the state to protect the state. As to varying degrees security services are in Western countries. The Ethiopian National Security Service always has been the instrument of the ruler of the time, whose main task was not to protect the state as such, but to protect the ruler, whether it is a monarch or a military junta or now as an autocratic party. These rulers perceive themselves to be practically identical with the state, and that their survival is the same as the survival of the state, which obviously it is not, because these rulers fell in Ethiopia are still there. But they perceive the situation as such, and they use the National Security and Intelligence Service primarily to assure that they stay in power. The Ethiopian National Security and Intelligence Service is accountable to the Prime Minister's office. It is directly placed under the authority of the Prime Minister. The Ethiopian National Security and Intelligence Service is predominantly staffed by Tigray. About 80% of its full-time operational cadres are from the Tigray region, about 20% from others. That applies for the headquarter office in Addis as well as the regional the branch offices, and it applies also to, let's say, the roving staff employed abroad. For obvious reasons, abroad the number of Tigray is lower because they could be easily spotted. So they have to send other operatives. The National Security and Intelligence Service operates without any political accountability, as it is under the Prime Minister office. It does not even send to the quote-unquote Ethiopian Parliament operational reports or yearly reports. There is no such thing. Within the Prime Minister office, the Ethiopian Security and Intelligence Service is supervised by a National Security Council, which is composed of the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, the head of the Prime Minister's office, the Chief of Staff of the Ethiopian Defense Force, and the head of the Ethiopian Police Commission. Now, 4 out of these 7 people are the Tigray by origin, and that assures that, or used to be Tigray by origin after the recent changes in the government with the senior Mesfin, the foreign minister, going out. Now the The composition is still different, but there's the same the official set of office positions are represented there. Most of the operations of the Ethiopian National Security Service are never officially documented or publicized. They can only be inferred by the effects. People are arrested, people disappear, people are extra legally or extrajudicially killed. Abroad, funny persons appear at meetings. Requests of relatives of opposition figures in Ethiopia, the relatives in Ethiopia, they want to have a business license, and for unspecified reasons that is turned down, but the relative is active in the opposition abroad, so certain inferences are made. Due to the fact that the National Security Service operates in secrecy, totally unaccountable to the judiciary or parliamentary organs in Ethiopia, and given the inclination of Ethiopians to believe in conspiracies everywhere, a lot of misconceptions and rumors are rampant within the Ethiopian community in the country as well as abroad. And behind a lot of things, there's always suspected that there is a hand of the security. Whether that is true or not is immaterial, but there's a perception generated by this state of affair about the activities of the security lead to certain behavior. Once you subjectively develop the impression that the Ethiopian security is looking for you abroad or here, you start to feel insecure, even though it might only be a rumor or a misinterpretation of a situation. And when you are in Ethiopia, you don't wait for a second or a third time, because it is highly advisable to disappear before they really take an interest in you, before they are coming after you. So once you have the feeling to be under threat, it is best to move on. Just to give you some background here, that is how the Ethiopian security services after 91 developed. In 91, when the TPLF came to power, the national security under the Derg was dissolved. The security department of the TPLF, the Halawi Woyane, became the security service of the new transitional Ethiopian government. And over time, this new security service recruited particular Tigray from the old Derg National Service to enlarge its ranks, because now the Halawi Woyane in the new the clothes had not to monitor the Tigray diaspora and the civilian population in Tigray, but the whole of Ethiopia. So obviously they needed more manpower. From 91 to August 95, the National and Security Department was under the Ministry of Interior. Parallel to that, there was a National Police and Prison Commission. Both these ministries and departments were headed by Tigray. In August 95 to 2000, in August 95, the Ministry of Interior was dissolved. There is no longer a Ministry of Interior in Ethiopia. The security aspects were given to the National Authority for Security, Immigration and Refugee Affairs. It is interesting that the security agency includes the immigration and nationality questions and refugee affairs, which the Ethiopian state always considered to be security aspects. The Ministry of Justice was given the responsibility for the Federal Police Commission and the Federal Prison Administration or Commission. In August 2005, after the events, after the election which went wrong and led to widespread protest, the National Security and Intelligence Authority, NASIRA, was transformed into the National Security and Intelligence Office as part of the Prime Minister's office. When you look at the composition of this office, then you see Security and Intelligence Main Department, Internal Security Main Department, External Security Main Department, Technical Services Main Department, that is where all the electronic things are settled, Recruitment and Training Main Department, Technical Information Main Department. This is an interesting department. They have cadres abroad. They are doing buying, shopping, electronic equipment, but also industrial espionage in the IT sector. Security Main Department, again, it has a lot of different Immigration Nationality Affairs Main Department, Administration of Refugees and Returnees Authority. In August 2005, the responsibility for the Federal Police Commission was given to the Ministry of Federal Affairs, was taken away from Justice. The same with the Federal Prison. Apart from the National Security and Intelligence Office in the Prime Minister's office, the Federal Police is the next major security organ in Ethiopia. Since 2005, it is headed by a Director General. By background, he is a member of the Oromo component of the EPRDF, who was the head of the Regional Security Bureau of Oromia Regional State until he is a member of the Central Committee of the EPRDF. Until the old structure till 2008, you had Administration and General Services Main Department. You had the coordination of regional police force and police forces in Addis Ababa and Dire Dawa Main Department. The main was stopped there, which is a very key position because this office controls the regional police in Ethiopia, which theoretically are under the authority of the regional governments. They control the police in Addis Ababa and in Dire Dawa, the two major towns, who are chartered cities, directly under the Ministry of Federal Affairs. So through this organ, the Federal Police has a direct link down to the grassroots in the regions. Then you have Crime Prevention and Control Main Department. This is a crucial department which has infrastructure protection, operational preparedness. Within operational preparedness, Riot Control Department, 5 Riot Control Divisions with 6,000 other members, Support Division, Training and Appointment Division, Information and Intelligence Division, also as a separate as an intelligence network, and the Federal Rapid Deployment Forces, again about as a 6,000. Then you have the Crime and Forensic Investigation Main Department. To give you an idea about the relative importance of these departments, I think in 2008, the budget allocation for crime prevention and control was 220 million birr. The budget allocated for Crime and Forensic Investigation Main Department, that is a department doing the regular police work, investigating common law crimes, was 40 million birr. It is a 1 to 15. So the Federal Police is much less than a police force, but it's more a force to control the population and incidentally any potential opposition. Since 2008, the